Okay, looking at the Gospel of John, we see the beginning. In the beginning was the Word. And that highlights the fact that the beginning of a story in Greek usually has some sort of phrase, like in the case of John, in the beginning. Or in the case of the other synoptic Gospels, they have the phrase, in those days. Although you will find that the phrase, in those days, does not occur at the first verse of those books because there's been some modifications made since the original gospel was written. So, for example, Matthew had a couple of chapters added to it. Mark had a few verses copied from Matthew added to it. And Luke actually started in the second chapter with the nativity story. And that makes Luke kind of unique because it's the only gospel that originally started with a nativity story. Matthew's nativity story was added to it later. So that gives us three different explanations for the Messiah in the four different gospels. Matthew and Mark originally started with the baptism of Jesus by John, hence the name Messiah, because Messiah means anointed. And after John's anointing of Jesus, he became the Messiah. Very clear adoptionist perspective. In the case of Luke, on the other hand, you have the nativity story, which means that Jesus was God, made the flesh, and as a baby with the Virgin Mary. And then finally, in the Gospel of John, Jesus is the co-creator of the heavens and the earth, the word that gives meaning to everything. So, three very, very different origins. Matthew and Mark, of course, are the Jewish origin. Luke is the Gentile origin, and John is a sort of cross between the two, where Jesus is God, but it still has a sort of emphasis on being righteous as opposed to simply being on God's side.